Good morning. Ready to go. Fire away.
Let's talk about quarterbacks and just what your plan is going into camp as far as quarterback rotation, and will Cap get any first string snaps?
Yeah, we're going to split it right down the middle. So I think we've got 24 reps today with the ones. So he'll get 12 of those, and he'll get 24. He'll get 12 reps with the twos. So him and Blaine will split it right down the middle with the ones and the twos.
What do you want to see out of them close to each other? What are the traits that's going to help you decide this competition?
Well, I think first and foremost is just who can move the team the best, and that's what you're always looking for. Which quarterback can handle what they're doing and get the team in the end zone. And obviously you have to protect the ball in doing that. So we're excited to see it. I think Cap did a great job in the offseason. He was limited, but whatever he could do, he did. He threw and got at least in the 7-on-7s right at the tail end of minicamp. So it'll be good to see him full go today. And the great part about it is I think we're confident in both those guys, but it's good to have two. And in my 3 years before, we've had to play two quarterbacks every year. So, it's a good situation to be in.
I was curious to see him college now that he's full go.
Just to see him full go, really, that's it. I haven't seen him. I've seen him on film. We've played against him, and he was outstanding when we played against him. But I haven't had a chance to see him full go. So, just a chance to see what 100% Cap is going to be like.
That's ideal for one of these guys to emerge?
I don't think there is, and I think sometimes if you put a preconceived date on it, it's not fair. And I've been in them before. I just think they express themselves and how they express themselves. Obviously you'd like to get it done sooner rather than later, but you don't want to get it done sooner and then make the wrong decision. So I think how we train and what we do in the practice fields, and then obviously the opportunity to play in preseason games will give us a real good indication. We hope as we head into the regular season.
Jim Cap said during the break between OTAs and now he wanted to gain some weight back. The physical look like he put on weight.
Yeah, he looks like he's added some. I don't know the exact number, but he looks a little bit bigger than when we left on, I think it was June 9th was the last time we were with him. So, and I know, I talking to him a few times over the summer that he's worked really hard at it. So, the one thing with Cap that you're never worried about is his work ethic. He's kind of a workout warrior. It was just really just getting him back to, he had a thumb, he had a shoulder, he had a knee. Just let's get him back to 100%. Let's see what he can do.
Chip, did you have conversations with Anthony Davis during the offseason, or when did you engage with him and talk about possibly?
During the offseason, no. I talked to Anthony. He called, I believe it was in February. It was the only time I had really a conversation with him, and that was about it. And then, over the last couple of weeks, he expressed to Trent that he was thinking about coming back. And then really my first conversation with him was yesterday. We got a chance to sit down and spend some time together. And, I told him he's got a blank slate, just like every other player and just like every other coach here. We're all new. I wasn't here in the past. And, he gets an opportunity to come in here. He did a really good job yesterday in his conditioning test. And so I'm excited to see him on the field.
Chip, in the array of skills that it takes to play quarterback, where do you rank accuracy specifically?
I think that's huge. It's a game about getting the ball in playmakers' hands. So repetitive accuracy is a big thing in terms of being able to move. As I said earlier, move the ball down the field. That's a huge part of it.
A couple of the players have talked about how they really like what the practice schedule looks like. Can you explain to us a little bit about how you're not going to be going full bore the whole time? And it's kind of...
Yeah, it's just the training effect that has to take place. Obviously, there needs to be some undulations in what you do. You just can't go 4 hours straight every single day and then expect them, to be able to handle that. Obviously, you got to work to ramp it up. They haven't been playing football. They've been training, and I can tell through what they did from conditioning yesterday that they're prepared for this next phase. But I think you got to ramp it up. You can't always go every single day 100%. That's something we learned a long, long time ago at Oregon. There has to be an undulation so that you get the most out of your training effect, and then really give them time to recover. There's two phases to this: is they have to train and they have to recover. And I think sometimes people forget about the recovery aspect of things, but we got to give them an opportunity to get themselves ready to go for the next day. So that's, it's the same thing we did at Oregon, the same thing I did in Philadelphia.
Chip Boston Tart starting on NFL.
Yeah, I think he just tweaked a muscle, and it should just be, from my understanding, and talking to Kowarski just a couple days. So he just, if he's not full go today, he has to go on that. So he's not full today, but I don't envision it being any type of long-term thing.
And everybody else is cleared to practice.
Everybody else is clear to go. Yeah. So they will, again, but with Will and with LJ and with Doris, we're not going to throw them in. They haven't gone 100%, so we'll ramp it up with them. You know, we'll start off in individual drills, get a feel for kind of how they feel. And I think we talked about not really putting them in team today, but as the next couple days approach, we'll start to piecemeal it in with them just to be smart. You know, doesn't help anybody that, hey, we threw them in full speed and they did a great job on July 31st and then pulled something and now they're out for 2 weeks. So they're going to go. They'll be in drills and then we'll be cautious as it goes and really just kind of monitor them. And that's really between Ferg and his staff and really the individual position coaches keeping an eye on them and kind of where they are.
You have to do the same thing with Anthony Davis. You have to ramp him up too, or is he full go right now?
The same thing, I think. We'll see. And a lot of it is feedback from AD. I think AD knows where he is. You can tell just watching him move around yesterday, he's worked, you know, and it's not like he woke up one day last week and said, hey, I think I want to play football again and hasn't been doing anything. He's been doing something. So, you know, all of those guys have to pass to get up to get to this phase anyways, because it doesn't benefit AD or us if he goes out there and pulls on day one and then all of a sudden he's sitting on the sidelines. You know, it's like he hasn't come back yet. So Coach Flats will keep an eye on him in terms of where he is and how he handles what we're doing from a training aspect. So.
Will Redmond, what's his status going in? Will Redmond?
Just like I said there, he'll go through all individuals and then we'll monitor him in terms of see what we're going to do in terms of 7-on-7 and team and what we'll do. But he will not take the full load of any of the 7-on-7 and team. Really today the game plan was let's see him an individual and kind of see how he handles it and what he can do and then assess it on a daily basis here as we start to ramp it up and get him ready to go. So the three in that category were Will, LJ, and Dorsey. Or those three are in that status. So they're cleared. They did pass their conditioning test, so we feel confident in that. But because they weren't full when we left, you know, we feel like we got to ramp it up a little bit with them, not just throw them in the deep end and see where they are. So.
Chip, I understand St. Anthony has a blank slate. We did make news during his year on social media. He was going to be taking shots at the front office. You have to have a conversation, or had a conversation about expectations as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, we've talked about everything, and I feel real confident where AD is in terms of wanting to come back and play. And you know, I know AD has spent a lot of time sitting down with Trent and had a long conversation with him, so that's maybe something Trent can share with you. So in terms of the blank slate, I've never been with AD before. I've coached against him and know the type of player he is, but you know, for me to walk in, it's not fair to him for me to have some preconceived idea of what he is because of something that was written or something that he said or whatever. I don't really get involved in that aspect of things. It's really the face-to-face meetings and the talks that I've had have, you know, and they've been minimal, but they've been productive. So, you know, we'll see where he is, and that's how I approach it with everybody. You know, on day one, respect is given, and over time, trust is earned. So, you know, we'll see how that goes. But I was encouraged in my initial conversations with AD. Yeah.
Chip, I was talking with Bill Pauling about this, and he wondered, how do you do this? Do you practice at pace? What do you do? How do you make sure the offensive line corrections are done in a way that other guys get it during practice?
If you look at every one of our periods is followed by a teach period. So it goes team, teach, team, teach, team, teach. So it's built into the practice schedule itself. So if you look at what Coach Flats does, there's opportunities during special teams. We film practice. We actually watch practice during practice. So you'll see our guys with the surfaces out there, and when Flats has an opportunity, we may be going to punt. So the offensive line's not involved in punt, but Flats will take a look at or myself will take a look at the surface while practice is going on. And then not only can we say, hey, you know, on the third play of team, you step with you stepped with your inside foot, you should have stepped with your outside foot. You actually can show them visual evidence of that. So our guys do a great job. Our coaching staff does a great job of coaching guys within the practice itself.
Chip, at right tackle, are you going to work a rotation with the starting unit like you are?
Are we going to work a rotation?
With the starting unit at right tackle.
Yeah. Well, AD's going to start in the bottom, you know. I mean, he hasn't been here in the spring, and he's got a lot to learn. So, and he knows that coming in. So, there'll be a rotation out there with Trent and Piers, and I think we had John Theus out there who did a nice job for us after we drafted him. So there'll be a rotation with everybody. And for the early part of camp, the number of reps are distributed the same. So the ones get the same amount of reps as the twos as the threes. So, it's pretty even across the board as we start to, right now we're just trying to get better, get our feet back underneath us, kind of get our understanding of the offense, understanding of the defense, understanding what we're doing special teams. Then as we start to get closer to Houston, which is 2 weeks away, then we'll start to kind of hone in exactly where they are. But it really doesn't matter to us whether you're with the first group, second group, or third group. You're still going to get reps. You're still going to get a chance to put plays on tape that now you can take a look at and with a critical eye and say, hey, all right, I was good here, I was poor here, and how do I correct what I'm doing in those situations? So.
Chip, are you still conducting daily hydration or urine tests, and also do you have any sock restrictions this year?
No, anything that's done from an assessment standpoint is all handled by Uwe in the strength and conditioning room and Ferg. So those guys, as I said, when I first got here, for some reason, no one heard of sports science until we got to Philadelphia. What was going on everywhere in the National Football League? And these guys have been on the cutting edge of that for a long time and very confident in those guys handling anything they have to do from that standpoint. So whatever they've done in the past, they're continuing to do the same thing. So, Uwe and Ferg are kind of cutting edge restrictions in terms of how that stuff goes. So. Do they handle socks? As long as they got socks on, they're not getting blisters, we're in good shape.
Should you consider Cal behind it all in terms of physical or mental because he's been rehabbing all offseason?
I haven't seen him full physically, but mentally, the one thing that impressed me was how sharp he was in staying on top of everything. As I said, he was in every single meeting, asking really, really intelligent questions. He seems like he picked things up fairly quickly. If you watched him and anybody that was here in the springtime, he stood directly behind the quarterback, whoever was in, and took snaps and was getting mental reps. And there was a lot of times where I probably had more interaction with Cap than I did with the other quarterbacks because I'm back there talking to him. What'd you see? Where'd you go? It was cover 2. I would have thrown it over there. And he was getting the mental reps out of it. He's back from a physical standpoint. He's been cleared, but we'll see where he is from that standpoint. But mentally, he was really sharp in the spring and really impressive him from that standpoint.
What do you want to see out of Mike Purcell, the other nose tackles looking for you?
Same thing, just the growth. We've got a little bit of a baseline on the guys that participated in the offseason program, so Mike was impressive. The biggest deal with any of those guys, whether it be offensive lineman or defensive lineman, we still have not had pads on yet. So to be able to say, hey, this guy's this or this guy's that, it really won't happen until we get in full pads. And obviously the off-season program, and then here for the first 3 days, we're still not going to be in full pads. So once we start to get the pads on, I think you'll see, especially in the line play, some guys kind of separate themselves from the other guys. But we were impressed with what Mike did in the springtime to go along. We had Quentin Dial in there. Now we're getting Dorse back. So we feel like we got 3 or 4 guys that can help ease the pain of losing someone as talented as Ian.
Last one, guys.
Is Ian's injury career threatening?
I don't know that. I just, the way it was kind of explained to me, and I think maybe I don't know if Ian's still here, is just he wasn't going to be able to play this season. And I know that was kind of crushing to him, but for him, the competitor that he is, I wouldn't rule him out of anything long term. But I just know he wouldn't be able to play this year. So.
All right, guys.
Okay.